I've been mentioning that I had some college football news, and this is from one of my college football sources. And I wanted to know what was kind of going on, get his feelings on things, since he was instrumental in giving me some information on the Big Ten last year, the Pac-12, when the Big Ten and Pac-12 were shutting down football, and everybody said that I was wrong. And I said, nope, I'm right. And he said, stick with it, you're right. And he gave me some information here. He said, there's a good chance the Big Ten and Pac-12 will try to create some type of merger to preserve their Rose Bowl contract. Notre Dame, he believes, is meeting on Wednesday to discuss what they're going to do, that the ACC seems like it makes sense, but that Notre Dame wouldn't join the ACC if these teams merge with the SEC. And then my source said, the dilemma right now is academic schools want nothing to do with the SEC. Virginia, North Carolina, Wake Forest, Duke, and Georgia Tech want nothing to do with the SEC because of the academics. Big Ten would be all over Virginia and North Carolina if there was a different commissioner. Because, according to my source, that would expand the Big Ten footprint, but the presidents want the money, but they have to maintain their academic credibility. That's the big issue with some of these conferences right now, or schools, the academic part of this. Go figure. You know, we talk about the student athlete all the time, and maybe there are some schools that are still adhering to that, but the dilemma with the ACC is the schools want nothing to do with the SEC, Virginia, North Carolina, Wake Forest, Duke, and Georgia Tech. Yes, Paul.
That does seem odd from the Big Ten because Vanderbilt is in the SEC, and I don't know if that's damaged their academic credibility. People look at Vanderbilt as almost like an Ivy League school, as a destination school for your kids. And being a football team in the SEC, I don't know if that's damaged that. If Michigan went to the SEC, would people think, oh, it's no longer a higher education?
I don't know. They may.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I point this out. Like, Florida is really hard to get into, and they're in the SEC. I think it's easy to say, well, it's just a football conference. Well, Big Ten's a football conference as well. But the higher education, the holier than thou kind of feel about this. But I do think it's interesting, according to my source, good chance Big Ten, Pac-12 try to create some type of merger. Now, what would that mean? How many schools can you add? Do you subtract? So it's West Coast, Midwest. If you could drop Rutgers, drop Maryland, add USC, add Oregon, all right, that's pretty good. That'd be a good trade. You'd have to throw in a couple other things in there.
Dan, you don't want to lose that East Coast Rutgers connection.
No, you don't.
You know
No, you got to have a footprint in New York City. Trust me, New York City doesn't care about Rutgers football. Yes, McLevin.
How about ACC goes hard after Kansas and just becomes the basketball conference and maybe loses Clemson? Just so you have the football conference SEC, you got Kansas, maybe try and get Baylor, which has kind of been out there. People speculating beat this Duke and Kansas in the same conference. That'd be kind of cool.
That's not a bad idea. It's
one of many. It's been floated on Twitter. I didn't come up with it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that doesn't mean it's going to happen by any means. It seems like everything's totally up in the air.
Well, we used to have a basketball super conference called the Big East. Remember that? Yeah, but that's when those schools were actually playing good basketball, where St. John's was interesting, Georgetown. Nova's been great, Syracuse. But, I don't know. We've got a couple of years, it feels like, to figure this out. Where is everybody going? But what happens to the Big 12? It just feels like the Big 12 is going to be the odd man out, because the Pac-12 will still survive, Big 10. ACC still has Clemson. I don't know. Would Clemson join? See, I wouldn't. Like, Clemson doesn't need the SEC. I mean, I want to be the focus of my own conference. At least for now. Yes, Eden.
That's all you might have those for now.
I know. Hey, in the ACC, the C in ACC, both C's stand for Clemson. Clemson. That's the ACC.
Clemson Conference.
Yes, Paul.
Rick Neuheisel's going to have to do a sequel to his Born in the SEC song.
Yeah.
It's changed rapidly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just these are things that are being floated out there, and that's the information I've got. But Clemson, I think, is interesting. But Notre Dame joining the ACC, full time, that would be a great coup for the ACC. But it's Notre Dame, and Notre Dame, they make enough money. I mean, that revenue, they're top 5 in the money that they make. And I don't know if they look at this, because this is where you go, we don't want to make a move, but we don't want to be left behind when everybody else has made their moves and then we can't.